What is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How are all you beautiful people this weekend? I'm already seeing the chat fill up with a bunch of familiar faces, some new faces as well. So, once again, if you're new here, hit the like button, subscribe. We do this every single Saturday here at the Shop Podcast. Appreciate you guys' continued support. We got a phenomenal show lined up. And I want to make sure I reiterate, you guys are awesome for hanging out with us every week. There's a million podcasts every week, but you decide on Saturdays to come out and get your gaming fix at the Shop Podcast. We greatly appreciate that here. We hope you guys enjoy this show every week, man. So, like I said, hit the like button, thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate you guys, man. But we're gonna jump right into it. We got a phenomenal guest. So let's go ahead and get started with our guest today. So we got Dr. Mo hanging out with us from TBC or the Backlog Chronicles podcast, man. Shout out to K-Med, everybody over there. They're one of my favorite podcasts. Super, super awesome. Everybody over there is awesome. But let's go ahead and introduce yourself, Mo. You've been here before, but it's been a little bit of time.
Yeah,
And we love that. We're glad that you're back, brother. So once again, everybody know where they can find you.
I appreciate you having me, man. It has been a while. Good to be here with you guys. To be honest with you, we kind of went on break a few months ago for TBC. We had a lot of stuff going on, life just hit us like a freight train, man, so we kind of everybody just had to kind of take a step back and deal with our things. I miss it, we're hoping to be back soon, but I think we're gonna take our time with it, but it's our baby. We definitely do want to come back to it. But it's awesome having you here. That's awesome having you here. I'm sorry. See, bad habits, bro. I'm sorry.
It's all good, brother.
But I'm sorry. I'm glad to be here, man. It's gonna be fun for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, not a problem, brother. Once again, do me a favor. You guys know how we treat the guests here. We roll out the red carpet. Please go do him a favor as well. All the information down in the description below. Go follow, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Once again, shout out to you, Mo, for hanging out with us, man. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to unpack, some shows, some Jim Ryan stuff. We'll get into all of that shortly here. But let me go ahead and get to my right-hand man here, Mr. Pong Soul, the battery of the Shop Podcast, man. How you feeling this week, brother?
Well, like I was saying, first of all, I'll start off and apologize to everybody if I sound a little under the weather. I'm getting hit by seasonal allergies, and they seem to be progressively getting worse today. So, but I am still here. No matter what, I've done 2 shows today already. This is number 3. So I am ready to rock and roll. The vocal cords are nice and loose. We got a lot to talk about, exciting times. It's been a pretty good week. PTK been rocking out on Battlefield 2042 again.
Oh, man. It looks so good now. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. So
good.
All right,
it's so crazy good.
I take back. I don't have it, so I'm not gonna sit up here and cap like I have the game. But just watching you, I've been watching Mav stream. You guys play. The game looks fun as hell, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it's back. It's back to where it should have been when they launched. Again, no excuses. It's unacceptable the way it launched. Even though we still had a good time, there was plenty of problems. They have smoothed all that out. Gotta hand it to DICE once again. Kind of poo-pooed that they were going to actually fix this. Then when they came out and said that they had already moved on to and it started something new in the Battlefield franchise, we kind of thought this was going to be a skeleton crew anthem kind of situation. That is obviously not the case. They are putting their all into 2042. They are getting it right. We are having a blast. I think Mav figured it out. We played like 15 hours last week, 16 hours last week, something like that. And no matter who was in with us, we had some of the community members jumping in with us. Everybody was having a good time. We've had at least a handful of people run out and get used copies at GameStop for like $10 or GameFly or whatever. Again, it's playing so well. It's back to that feeling of Battlefield where it's really a great time. And season 3 again will reintroduce the class system, which is going to even help even more. But right now it's a great time to jump into. So if you can find it cheap, go get it. It's worth it. You'll have fun no matter what in Battlefield. So been doing that. And then what else did I do this week? I don't know. Steel came through. Santa Steel came through. And he knew I was starting to get the shakes because NBA 2K3 dropped. So he dropped me a little code and picked me up 2K3. So I'm back on my crack again.
Nice.
Yeah, it started yesterday again. I popped it in last night real quick for about a half hour after we get done with Ultimate, but been playing around with that a little bit today. It's playing real well. They have changed up some stuff. I'm already in my team mode. So I got my fix again. And I'll probably put another 300 hours plus in this one. So let's go. But we got a lot to talk about, a lot of exciting stuff today. I'm pumped to talk about Assassin's Creed. Got a lot of stuff I wanted to see today. So let's get down to business, PTK.
Man, let's get into it, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Once again, Pong, you guys know where to find him on Twitter. Go follow him, everything he has going on each week, man. And last but not least, Mr. Barry Ross, smooth operator, Fuzzy Belvedere, man. How you been doing this week, brother?
I've been doing pretty good. Just becoming the driving instructor for the boys, so they're getting up there in age to the point where they can get their license. So
wait, hold on. Aren't they already experts? Aren't they sitting in the chair for GT? Don't you have them like 300 miles per hour? Why do you need to take them out? They're like race car drivers at this point, aren't they?
No, they gravitated to like first person shooters more so than driving or racing games. So for the most part, they're picking it up pretty quick. It's just a matter of getting them used to being in traffic at rush hour, because I let them drive themselves to school kind of thing, and then I drive the vehicle back home so they don't have to worry about the bus and all that stuff. But man, outside of that, I've been playing a lot of GT, also playing a lot of Division, and man, some good stuff came in as far as some news for that today.
About damn time. Go ahead,
exactly. But man, also some Insurgency. Saw that clip that Pong dropped in DMs, like the real Marines and some other armed forces guys around the world that kind of do this stuff for just for fun in that game. Hoping to kind of put something together like that as well in the community. But man, oh man, so much to talk about. Glad we got Dr. Mo on here today, and let's get into it today.
Let's go.
Let's dive in. You guys know what it is. Once again, hit the like button on your way in. Once again, say hi to everybody when you drop in. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. We do this every single Saturday. Appreciate you guys, man. So we traditionally start with the poll of the week, but there's actually been quite a bit of news, and I do have something that I just kind of want to get out of the way. So we'll forego the poll of the week. Shout out to everybody who voted, by the way. Appreciate you guys. I do it every single Monday on Twitter, so follow me there if you want to be a part of that. It's awesome. I try and make it as creative as possible. You do not get a chance to cancel me this week, Pong. So
you're back on the streak again.
I'm back on the streak. So by default, since we're not talking about the poll, I'm back on the streak. So but appreciate you guys, man. Once again, let's just go ahead and get started, because I want to kind of get this one out of the way. I feel like this is going to be the most, I would say, controversial, but just the hottest topic that we have. So we're talking a little bit about Jim Ryan's statements this week regarding this ABK deal and how he feels about Call of Duty. And needless to say, I think this slapped everybody in the side of the head. I don't think any of us really thought that we see anything like this or hear anything out of this from someone in his particular position as the CEO of PlayStation. So essentially, if you were living under the rock, I'll break it down here. I'm going to just paraphrase because I don't have the exact,
paraphrasing is fine, bro. I think everybody knows what's going on.
I think everybody knows what's going on. Basically, he said, you know what? Since Phil, came out and made some public statements, I got some things that I need to get off my chest. So so he's like, you know what? I'm not happy about this situation. Phil came to me with a raw deal. It was almost like a bad drug deal or something. Like, he only offered us 3 years. That wasn't enough. It was a really, really sensitive response to the situation, considering what's going on. Now, once again, we don't know what influenced this, and I wholeheartedly believe he absolutely said this, because had he not said this, PlayStation would have came out and refuted everything that was all the information that was released. So there was no, counter statements. PlayStation didn't come out. Jim didn't come out. Nobody came out.
This was gamesindustry.biz too.
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to remember that. So they are very professional. One of my favorite
they
sites
are
to go to.
Yeah,
so
they are.
Chris String is great. He's great on Twitter.
Yeah,
he gives a lot of information. So I definitely believe that
very credible.
Yeah, they are very credible. Yeah, for sure.
But once again, generally, if something like this is even halfway off, the company's going to come out and say, wait a minute, that's not what I said. That's not what he said. We got none of that. So I kind of want to go around the panels here and get everybody's idea. And once again, chat, you guys let us know. Once again, I'm sure you've talked about this all week, but we have our different takes here. And we're going to start with you, Mo. Kind of get your initial reaction One, when you saw it, and now that we've kind of thought about this and been let it marinate for a couple of days, where you at with it now? The statements.
Yeah, I was telling you guys before the show started. I think we were all taken aback initially by the fact that it was him that said it. You know, I mean, it was funny, you know, to see somebody in his position actually say that. You know, just kind of like throw them under the bus, I guess, if you want to say. You know, but at the same time, there was a lot of talk, you know, in terms of exclusivity and whatnot. You know, if Sony was the one buying Activision, you know, they would have been doing the same thing. You know, why should there be a double standard? To an extent, I do agree with that. I think if you have to approach this from different angles. You know, first, let me just start out with, you know, the whole double standard thing, or why a double standard exists. You know, and I think it's all because of wording. You know, I think Microsoft has done a very good job since the beginning of this generation. You know, just especially with Phil Spencer saying, you know, like, we want to keep our games, you know, we want everybody to play. We want to keep our games everywhere, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then this whole thing with Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard, you know, when the purchase started to make rounds or, you know, make news, and, you know, they said, like, we want to keep our games. We don't want to restrict anybody, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then obviously the 3-year thing comes out. Remember, if you guys remember, I think it was last week where apparently Phil Spencer had written a letter to Jim Ryan saying, like, he wants to keep Call of Duty for another 3 years after their contractual agreements are done with Activision.
Yes.
So I think that may have pissed Sony off, you know, because I think they were expecting, you know, this not to happen, you know, the 3-year thing. And when he did say that, I'm just obviously guessing. I don't know shit, you know, I mean, but it's just, I think they were maybe thrown off by that because they just had different expectations, maybe from different, maybe per their discussions before, you know, and things do change, obviously, in this industry. We all know they change, you know, maybe Microsoft just said, like, you know what, man? Yeah, 3 years. We don't need to keep feeding it. We don't need to keep giving it to them the whole time. And it's definitely within their right when they do take control of the franchise. You know, I mean, it is. But the thing is, you know, to answer that, or to go back to the whole double standard I was talking about, because I even saw some PlayStation-centric people, you know, the level-minded ones, they were like, well, you know, let's be real here. If this was Sony,
where do you find those?
Oh, good.
You know, I'm not here to shit on anybody because some Xbox fans are just as shitty, bro.
Oh no, I come on all sides, but I'm
they do, man. They do, but I agree with you. And no, honestly, Pong. No, but that's really, look, man. Yeah, I mean, look, there's trash. You know, I mean, I try to avoid that, but there are people, honestly, who are saying, they're like, you know, if this was Sony, this is centric people. You know, people who like PlayStation, who play on PlayStation, and they know. They said, they're like, hey, look, if this is Sony, they'd be doing it. So why are we expecting Microsoft not to do it? And that really got me thinking at the time. I'm like, this is true. Why are we expecting Microsoft to not abide by that? You know, I'm sorry, man. That's my son in the background. He's upstairs. You know, so and I think the reason why is just because of the communication and the wording that we've got, you know, and I guess this just expectation that Microsoft and Xbox and Phil Spencer, they really do want everybody to play their games everywhere or whatever it may be. But I think when the chips are on the table and when all said is done, I mean, we keep saying it, Brian, business is business, bro. You know,
think about
he's got to be. And you know what I love about this too is, despite the fact that Phil Spencer seems like a great guy, you know, I mean, yeah, he's a gamer. He's got a great persona. You know, people love him. Gamers love him, you know, but I think this is the first time I think that he's really shown that shark mentality when it comes to business. You know, I mean, this is not him being like, you know, I'm Phil Spencer. I want everybody to play our games everywhere, blah, blah, blah. He just came out and just straight up said, hey, 3 more years after your contractual agreement and it's done. You know, I mean, and I don't know if they were expecting that from him. You know, I mean, I think a person in his position obviously has done a lot of good things right in his career to get to where he has. You know, and maybe he's done a lot of these moves behind the scenes that we don't know about, obviously. You know, I mean, we're not privy to everything. We're not privy to all the information that's out there. So I'm sure he's done something, you know, some things like that we just didn't know about. But as far as like publicly, as far as we know, I liked it, man. I honestly liked it. You know, I mean, this is like one of those situations where like the gloves are off. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah. And to finish it, you know, I'm sorry, I went a little bit too much on this, but to finish it off, I think Sony should be annoyed, you know, I mean, because yeah, bro, like this is Call of Duty. Call of Duty is one of the biggest brands in the world. You know, I mean, so by doing something like this, you know, I mean, it's also affecting the casual market. I think we all have friends that have bought the new consoles and they only play FIFA, Call of Duty, whatever, right? They buy like 2 or 3 games a year and they just play it. They just stick to that, right? And a lot of these people are not in the know the way we are on a daily basis. They don't read the news. They don't follow the news. They don't look at all the stuff that we do. You know, as far as they're concerned, they're like, oh, Call of Duty, PlayStation, Call of Duty, PlayStation, right? Obviously, they know it's on Xbox, but that's just their association with it. And I think ACG, if you guys follow him, he's awesome.
Shout out to ACG.
Yeah, ACG said it best the other day because he's like, do you guys really think that Sony would not want to protect the house that they built? You know, I mean, and I was just like, yeah, man, you know, I mean, so you look at it from a lens, it's just like, yeah, bro, whether you want to call it shitty what he did, whether you want to call it sour grapes, you know, I mean, salty, whatever it may be. Yeah, I mean, depending on the angle you look at it from an optics perspective, yeah, it just felt like he was bitching about it, you know? But at the same time, you know, just like Phil Spencer is protecting his brand, I think Jim Ryan is trying to do the same as well. You know what I mean? So it may not have been the best move, but I don't know why he thought it was the best move, but whatever.
So the crazy thing, so I want to make a couple, and I agree with a lot of what you said. So shout out to you, Ma. I agree with a majority of what you said, but there's some I want to add a little perspective to the conversation, right? One, how does Sony have the audacity to think that they could even they could influence or be like have any type of influence on what Xbox does with their money and this deal at all? So I understand what you were saying about Jim. Maybe they just expect it. Like, what kind of arrogance does it take to think that this company is going to spend $70 billion and we expect them to still share with us?
Sorry, man. Listen, just 1 second. Zinc, I did not say Sony built Call of Duty. I said Sony, the house that Sony built, PlayStation. Come on, bro. Work with me here.
Shout out to Zinc in the chat.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know. Sony did not make Call of Duty. It's not theirs.
but you know, just back to my original point. You know, that to me that shows a certain level of arrogance to even think you have the right to, you know what I mean, to think you have that much influence to like push this and say, you know, we fully expected them to just, you know, everything to be status quo going forward. Why the hell would you even think that at all in the first place? You're right, considering everything that's going on. And let's not even start with, once again, I asked this question, and I know Fuzzy, we were in party chat earlier on Xbox, and I said, I can't remember the last time Xbox did a third-party deal that was exclusive, where they got some type of exclusive content. Let me know when the last time that happened. What's the last game Xbox had exclusive content, a costume, a hat, anything that was exclusive to Xbox? Probably an Xbox One generation, maybe. There was something that was third party. It's been forever. It's been forever. And another point is, and I've always brought this up, once again, we're seeing Sony have to get their shit together in real time. The entire gaming industry is completely different. Game Pass has came and changed everything. Everything's going in a completely new direction. They're having to get their shit together in real time, and we're watching Sony do this. It's uncomfortable to Sony. That's why things like this are happening. That's why Jim's coming out and, you know, saying things like this. This is not comfortable for them. They're not making the rules, Mo. They made the rules all these previous generations. First party content, we got the best first party games. We sell 20 million copies. We sell 150 or 120.
Well, you gotta. Yeah, I know, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but you got to remember too, you know, I mean, they have, you know, the reason why they've locked up so many of these deals, if you remember, Xbox had the marketing rights to Call of Duty during the 360 generation. Yeah, and then obviously it flipped over to Sony. So I think since the beginning of the PS4 generation, which was a decade ago, you know, almost a decade ago, you know, I mean, it's pretty, I don't think it's wrong. It's not wrong. You know, I don't care. It's factual. You know, I mean, they've had market dominance. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, and they commanded that they commanded those contractual agreements. You know, I mean,
absolutely.
whether it was with Final Fantasy or even flipping Call of Duty to them, I think a lot of people were taken a little bit back, especially me. You know, I mean, because during the 360 generation, Call of Duty was synonymous with the 360. They always opened up at Xbox shows, blah blah blah. You know, I mean, so I think for the longest time, you know, I mean, and Sony's still doing good. It's not like they're freaking, you know, it's not like they're struggling.
That's my next
I'm
point.
just saying, and I think that's where that expectation is. I'm just piggybacking off of what you're saying. You know, I think, you know, because you're talking about entitlement or whatever it is, I think it's just because they commanded that market for so long that they just thought that this was something that was going to continue. You know, and I think what we're loving now, at least in the last 2 years, is it's been great, man. It's been amazing just seeing these haymakers and just this competition. This competition is incredible, and I love it. I love seeing it. Like, take my money, bro.
And
Convince me. You can take my money.
At the end of the day, it's good for all the consumers. You know what I mean? We win at the end of the day, and we benefit from it. So I do agree on every point, but I wanted to make sure I threw all of that out there.
Yeah.
This is kind of add a little bit of perspective. So let me get this.
Yeah.
Throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion on this, man. Once again, we've talked about this. You've talked about it 4 or 5 times this week, but you know, now that it's kind of marinated, you know, where are you at on this?
Yeah. Sony has done this to themselves. This is on Sony. They're trying to blame Microsoft and Xbox at this point, but they did this. They decided to ignore their other IPs. They decided to throw all their fantastic IPs into a closet, lock it up, board it up, nail it shut, and say, we don't need you anymore. We found the magic in third-person, over-the-shoulder, narrative-driven single-player games. And what we'll do is we'll go make deals with third parties to get all the other content that we should actually have for ourselves. We'll go just buy that content from everybody and make sure that we got marketing rights. We've got exclusivity deals. They foresaw the future, the digital future coming. They know the future is not consoles. But what they didn't have the vision for is exactly what Microsoft and Xbox did, which is 2 billion, 3 billion gamers. Because, of course, they don't have the resources. They don't have the infrastructure. It would have taken a massive shift in their philosophy and in their business model to make that happen. But they could have done it. They could have been the leaders. They could have started breaking ground.
We talked about Gaikai, remember?
They bought Gaikai first. They came out with PS Now first. They could have done that, but they chose not to. So now they got to sit in what they created. This is their own problem. This is business. Jim is, I think, both being over the top dramatic in some fashion, but also very concerned because he understands that this move is going to put them even further behind when Microsoft and Xbox drop Call of Duty into Game Pass. In no statement that Phil made with the contract, with the signed agreement, whatever you want to say, the letter of intent that he sent to Sony, extending their current deal with Activision Blizzard another 3 years. At no time in that letter did he say, at that point, it's over with. You guys don't get Call of Duty. No, it was going to go back to the negotiating table yet again, as any normal deal in this industry would do. That's why Phil confidently said that the extension of 3 years was beyond the norm of this industry, which it really is. You're not going to sign a forever contract. That's not how it's going to be. At most, you're going to have a rolling contract. Okay. But that's, again, neither here nor there because nobody sits down with Jim Ryan and says, yeah, we'll sign a forever contract. Maybe Square Enix. Okay. Maybe Square Enix does this. Maybe that's why we don't have file. Okay. Square Enix. But okay. Outside of that, you don't see that ever because nobody knows the future. This industry changes overnight as we're seeing here. This could, Call of Duty 6 years from now could be in a totally different place. A new game could have come along from somebody else that overtook Call of Duty. Call of Duty could be like number 5, number 10 at the end of the day 6 years from now. There's no telling where Call of Duty is. Also, we already know Call of Duty is moving to every other year or maybe every 3 years. That was already in the works because Activision themselves came out and said it was unsustainable every year. That makes it less valuable already to Sony. Sony needs that yearly release. So why the heck would Phil Spencer give them any other kind of deal than an extension? Nobody knows where this is all going. Yes, after that extension, could Microsoft and Xbox pull it? Of course they could. Could they go to Jim and say, hey, let's negotiate? And Jim says, go take if he's still there, go take a flying leap. We're not going to pay that, or we're not going to cut our percentages, or whatever kind of dealing goes on at that point. And Microsoft, as the owners of the IP, could say, fine, you don't get Call of Duty. So that could certainly happen. Or they could just say, no, we want it for ourselves. That's their right. It is not Microsoft and Xbox's job to look out for your gamers, Jim. That's your job to look out for your gamers. You didn't sit back when you
Oh, I think he's having mic issues over there, Pong. Think he's having some mic
Uh-oh.
issues. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you cutting you botting out over there. He's still having a mic issue. So while you fix that, Pong, he's fixing his mic. Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Fuzz. Get your go ahead, man. Take over while Pong is working on the mic.
Yeah, man, Jim Ryan, as I posted in like the tweet, it's crying, lying, Jim dance moves Ryan. I mean, you can keep on adding names to his forte type of deal, but I looked at it kind of like along the lines of Pong, the way Pong was, as far as it's not that they're definitely going to pull that 3, but at least get them to come back to the table. Remember, they already made a kind of like a chess move against Phil, with his favorite game being behind Bungie, despite Bungie saying, yes, it's going to be on all platforms. But, what's to say that the season pass stuff, or not season pass, but like the expansions aren't like rolled into PS Plus and things along those lines, where, it'll definitely feel kind of like it's an exclusive when you can have it already in your subscription deal. But, him exposing that conversation or that contract reach out type of deal, I understand why, and the fact that he was, protecting his brand, and at least showing his fan base that he's making every effort to stick it to Microsoft, because if he just bends over, his fan base is going to try to kick him in the rear and get him out the door type of deal. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it's now made it even harder for them to try and block this deal. Could they have blocked it? Probably not. But could they have slowed things down? Sure. But I think with some of the language that he said, with the 3 years being unacceptable, but yet it's easy to look back at any of the deals that PlayStation has, where we still don't have Final Fantasy on Xbox. We're probably never going to get Street Fighter 5 on Xbox. And there's a ton of other games
Street
that
Fighter 6 looks awesome.
Yeah, true. But there's a lot of things that Sony has done over the past generation that make it so Jim Ryan didn't show any concern for Xbox gamers or anybody on that Xbox platform. So, like Pong was saying, why should Xbox care about PlayStation gamers?
Sure.
I mean, the most that they should care is to kind of persuade them to come over to their ecosystem. But outside of that, I mean, it just seems a little petty. Kind of like I like the tweet that PTK put out, where Jim Ryan changed his profile picture to Takashi69 type of deal. It's like, oh yeah, all this info in the DMs, yeah, I'm gonna expose that shit. But it's just, I think he's basically putting his foot in his mouth. Like Crazy Lou said before, after the whole Brazil documents were made public and all that stuff, it's like Sony's been stepping on rakes in their backyard every turn they get. It's like, oh, you got this lawsuit. Yeah, it might be frivolous, but that's not a good look, especially if you're trying to win favor in the UK. Oh, they got the price increase, even though they cut some costs or did a revision to save some of the production costs or distribution costs and things like that. So it seems like every chance they get, they're almost, either putting their foot in their mouth or stepping on a rake. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it was a bad move on Jim's part. In the long term, short term, it might win him some favor with his fan base. But in the grand scheme of things, I think when things go to court, and the fact that Microsoft can easily show some of the contractual language that that PlayStation puts in their deals, like for Deathloop or
No
even
Game Pass.
Ghostwire
Yeah.
and
Sure.
blocking things in Game Pass and
Mhm.
such. So I think it's definitely going to be a karma situation where it's going to come back to bite him, and we'll see if he's held in the same regard as like Matrick later on down the road as far as the PlayStation fan base. But that's all I got. Hopefully Pong's back up.
Yeah,
and
can
going.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Internet
good now.
zapped out. So
Ah,
sorry
ah.
about that. I was in the middle of my rant and Jim got me. He sniped me.
I was just
Right
saying,
after
man, he
that-
must be watching, man. Either
Yeah.
that or
He
he
pulled
pulled
the
up in
plug.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
a
right
Sony
after
van
that
pulled up.
there was a black van out front that peeled off from my driveway. So I don't know what the hell's going on. No, like I was saying, and I think Fuzzy said a lot of what I was saying too, is that again, Jim wasn't thinking about Xbox gamers when all this went down. So there's no reason why Xbox and Phil have to think about his gamers. And again, they've come out and already said, Brad Smith himself publicly in an interview said, we think of Call of Duty as Minecraft, as a platform unto itself. That should give you, and I know you're not going to take their word for it. I'm not saying that you have to take their word for it, but the fact that somebody as big as Microsoft and Xbox is even stretching their hand out in any way, shape, or form to you as the main competitor and saying our intentions are good here, that should show you something. Instead, and that's why I think this was a bait to get Jim to do exactly this. Instead, Jim decided to rip up the letter of intent, spit in Phil's face, and say it's not good enough. Now you look now Jim is the negotiation.
Uh-oh.
You
That
botting
van's
out
back.
over there. The van's back. They just went down the street.
They don't want me. Tell me if
There
I'm
you
coming
go.
back at all.
Yeah,
Am
you're
I
good.
you're
back?
coming
good.
back.
You're
Okay,
good.
all right. Man, internet might be a problem tonight, folks. All right. So I just, again, now Jim has brought this to the public space and he is litigating it and he is negotiating in public. It makes him look like a spoiled brat. It makes Sony look like the boy who cried wolf at this point, because again, they had every opportunity to do exactly what Microsoft is doing. Maybe not to the extent, but they had every opportunity to start to shift and they chose not to. And so I think that when they get to phase 2 with the CMA, now that they have Jim out in public saying these things, phase 2 is where Microsoft and Xbox get to educate all of these people who have zero clue as to how this industry works. They know nothing. That's why their comments read exactly like Sony wrote them out, because that's all they know. Now it's going to be Microsoft and Xbox's turn. And like Fuzzy was saying, they're going to go show these people exactly how this industry works and what Sony's been doing and how they got to number 1 and how they became the main console. But again, all these regulatory bodies, it's not their job to keep Sony number 1. If Sony falls to number 3, who cares? Who cares? That's competition, because somebody bigger and badder woke up and decided to come into this industry, change the entire game, write new rules about how this was going to go as technology moves forward. That is not the regulatory body's job to say, well, we got to give these guys a fair chance because they've been number 1 for so long. No, that's not how this works at all. So at the end of the day, Jim comes looking out even worse by doing this in public. I think it was bait. I think it was the attorneys over at Microsoft and Xbox. Again, do not forget, this isn't their first rodeo. They are used to worldwide regulatory bodies in a lot of different areas. They are used to going to the mat through regulations and figuring out how they're going to get things passed through, not just in the video game industry. So they know exactly what they're dealing with. And I think they had the foresight to do this. That's why there was no counter response. That's why there was nothing. After Jim came out and said this, silence. They let Jim go ahead and say what he needed to say and sat back and smiled. And it's on the phase 2 now, baby. That's where they're at with this. But I understand why Jim's doing this. I understand his position. He is defending his company. He's defending the stock price. Sony has already lost a considerable amount of value. If they drop more, listen, there's already people that are looking over that way. If they drop more, there's going to be vultures circling.
Where did you see that they dropped in value?
You go back and check at their peak right before the Activision Blizzard deal, and then look after the Activision Blizzard deal was announced to where they are now. And yes, it's been across the industry, but they're actually down a much larger percentage than most of the tech industry is right now. So again, their stock price where it's sitting at, I think is at 70, was it $70, something like that, $72, something like that. That's getting kind of tasty for a lot of people when you talk about Sony.
Yeah, people have been saying that Sony is going to die ever since the PS3.
Not die.
No, I'm saying like they're sinking, they're dying, they're gonna get bought up.
No, I'm not in that boat. I'm not the doom and gloom.
I know you're not. Trust me.
And worst case scenarios, Mo. Worst case scenario is they become like Nintendo and they forge their own little pond. They have enough IP. They have enough fans to swim in their own pond. They would have to change some things up. Nintendo can do what they do because they make money on everything. So Sony would have to adjust some things, but that's worst case scenario for them. They can survive. It's not a big deal. Yeah, no, I'm not that doom and gloom guy at all. I think Sony's still around, but I think that there would be people like Apple, like Amazon, very interested in taking over Sony if they get down to a even juicier price point. So that's where I think that Jim is really protecting, because again, his job is to the board. It's the Sony board. His job isn't to his gamers. That's why they put Jim in charge. Jim is a numbers guy. That's all he is. He's not a gamer. He doesn't care about the industry as a whole. He cares about what Sony's doing, and he cares about that bottom line because they got to support a big chunk of that corporation through PlayStation. That's where he's at. Period.
Yeah. Good point. So I want to make sure I get to the super chat. Shout out to Xbox Junkie for the $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. He said Phil should never have publicly stated anything about COD's future. Not even a good business move. So I think you already addressed that, Pong, about that information. What Phil restated was already stated prior to. Did you say Brad Smith came out and already made some comments regarding and to be clear on this, Junkie, they really can't say anything until that ink is dry. Like, they really can't make any official promises and things like that. Now, the letter of intent's one thing, but, they can't really go any further than that at this point in time. So everything they say is, precarious right now. So, but thank you once again for the comment. Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. It's going to be interesting to see going forward. And one thing, and I'll throw this back to you, Mo, and I kind of want to answer this before we move on to the next topic.
And don't forget too, Phil said they want to expand Call of Duty to Switch. Nintendo, they want to bring it there too. They're all their intentions. And to answer your question, Mo, I just went and did a quick look. Right around January 13th, they were at $124.80, and they were at $74.19 today.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So
cool. I'm not doing his homework.
No, encyclopedia. Pong gonna do the homework. You already know. Pong gonna do the homework. But the one thing I want to say is just ultimately, I just felt like it was unnecessary. I didn't feel like it was necessary for Jim because it paints a picture of desperation, in my opinion. Like, we need Call of Duty. It creates this idea that brand needs Call of Duty. As big as Call of Duty is, we just heard from Herman Helst. They're putting all this money in these third parties. They got 10 games of service games coming between now and 2025. What happened to all of that?
They're still doing that.
That's my point. You know what I mean? So to me, it just feels less necessary when you have that on the horizon to say, you know what, guys, we need Call of Duty.
Yeah, but the thing is you got to remember, there's a reason why Call of Duty is the main focal point here. Nobody's saying. I mean, look at the rest of the IPs that are owned by Activision Blizzard, right? They're not even mentioning anything else. The reason why it's Call of Duty is because, like I said earlier, dude, this is one of the biggest brands in the world, and I think Call of Duty is probably the biggest reason why
Candy Crush makes more than Call of Duty each year. Candy Crush
like, Call of Duty is why this whole. I personally think that's the biggest reason why this whole deal is under the microscope, right?
It is,
and I agree with what you guys were saying earlier. About why should the regulatory body and how they shouldn't care about Sony's market. Of course they don't. The regulatory body is not there to protect Sony as the market leader. The regulatory body is there to make sure that there's fair market, or at least like nobody's going to lose a significant amount when it comes to a brand this big. Like, I mean, when they bought Bethesda, when they bought ZeniMax, when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, none of this shit was going on. I'm sure it was. You know, there was a lot of legal stuff we didn't know. But I mean, we didn't hear about any of this stuff. We didn't hear about all of these regulatory bodies and putting it under the microscope and looking into it and blah, blah, blah. Because despite, you know, brands like Elder Scrolls, for instance, which is huge, it's still not Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So, and that's why,
there's
you know,
logistics reason why they got involved too. It's the amount of money they spent.
Of course, man. Yeah,
that's the reason why all of these bodies are involved.
Yeah.
If you're, I can't believe what the cutoff is. If you're underneath a certain cutoff, you don't have to go through as much scrutiny. They spent $70 billion. Everybody's involved due to just the amount of money they paid on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that has a lot to do with the difference between the way Bethesda got looked at as opposed to the way Activision. It's 10 times as much money. You know what I mean? Like, this is unprecedented.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so yeah. But I honestly, I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead and finish your point, brother.
Oh no. You pretty much said that. You know, and you know, again, like, it's not dependent. You know, I mean, I don't think you know, Sony depends on it, but I think, you know, just, you know, around holiday time or you know, when obviously, you know, Call of Duty, every Call of Duty release is always huge. You know, I mean, we all remember, you know, I mean, and we all lined up for it at midnight. You know, we know how big of the Modern Warfare 2019 was. It's the best selling Call of Duty ever. You know, I mean, so, and now look how much hype there is for Modern Warfare 2. So, from that perspective is all really I'm saying. I mean, it's not the fact that, you know, I mean, they have a lot going on. And I think, you know, to go back on your live service stuff, yeah, I mean, they're putting a lot of effort and money into the live service, you know, into the live service area, because they know obviously that's what's flourishing nowadays. It brings in a shit ton of money. I mean, if you just look at like the yearlies every year, for instance, like just microtransactions, for instance, you know, like how many billions they bring in just from microtransactions from live service games or whatever it may be. So I think Sony's obviously dipping their toes into that, you know, for the future. You know, I mean, so it's future proofing, which is why they're investing so much into it. But as far as like depending on Call of Duty, I don't think removing Call of Duty is going to kill them, but I think removing Call of Duty is definitely, it hurts. You know, I mean, it definitely hurts. Like I said, it's one of the biggest brands in the world. You know, I mean, so it's pretty, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember that thing that happened with Epic Games, you know, when Tim Sweeney went public with all this shit that was going on with Microsoft, you know, and then the whole thing came out with Sony and how for crossplay, I forgot what it was. Yeah, but the thing is a lot of this stuff goes on behind the scenes in terms of, you know, again, it's all about market dominance, right? Like, I mean, Sony wanted like a certain amount of money, if I remember correctly, like for crossplay or whatever it was. And Fortnite is so big, right? Fortnite got so big that they basically told them like, no, you know, I mean, like, no, you know, I mean, and they were just like, okay, fine. You know, so I mean, but that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, when you have a brand that big, you can command, you know, you can command it. And initially it was Sony who was able to command that, but then Epic Games just told them, like, why should we do that? No one else is telling us to, you know, why should we do that with you? And again, and it's just because of all the things that have happened over the years since the beginning of the PS4, just that they have commanded that, and things started to shift. You know, I mean, now you have brands. You know, it's not just, you know, brands would coddle console makers, you know, or like console manufacturers, you know, like you have brands that would basically be like, what do you want from us, Sony, you know, in order to, you know, go on your platform, or you know, what is it that you want from us? But now it's getting to a point where like brands like Call of Duty, brands like Fortnite or whatever it may be, they are the ones that are commanding that. You know, I mean, they're the ones that are basically coming out like, hey, you want us on our platform? Well, or on your platform? Well, yeah, this is what we're going to have to do. And I think Microsoft has every right to do that with Call of Duty moving forward. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I agree. 110%. 110%. So we're going to switch lane just a little bit here because we got a lot of stuff.
I just want to say before we do.
Yeah.
Let's start putting like a tweet out there for PlayStation to bring back SOCOM. Like, That's one
That'd
that
be
they
awesome,
really,
man.
they
You know
just
what,
need to
bro?
do it.
You know what, Fuzzy, man? Do you remember SOCOM 4 when it came out? And then SOCOM 4 has to be the only game I can think of in recent memory that had the worst luck
Yeah.
ever. SOCOM 4 came out right when PlayStation Network went down for a month.
Yep.
Like right at the time. And obviously, if you know SOCOM, you know it's completely dependent online.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
bro, that game didn't even have a chance, and it's so sad. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of put the nail in the coffin for it, but hopefully they revisit it, because I think that would be a way to supplement or replace whatever they may lose in revenue from Call of Duty. They can have their own, IP bring that kind of money in. I honestly believe it.
And we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see as time goes forward. They're putting a bunch of money into different, the third party stuff, and they got their own studios. They've made a bunch of studio purchases the last 2 or 3 years, so they're doing that as well. So let's switch.
They're
lanes here a
making
little
moves,
bit.
man. They're all trying to protect themselves, bro. Yeah, they're making moves. Everybody is. I mean, obviously, you got a $70 billion move like this. I mean, this is huge. And for me personally, even when Microsoft made this move, I was like, holy shit, man. I don't like to play into that whole thing that, like all this crap that we see on Twitter, like you don't pay 70 billion, blah, 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 all these conversations. I was just looking at it. I'm like, man, I think they're trying to become the number one publisher in the world by making a move like this. Like that was my approach to it, right? Obviously, you're going to have some exclusive content for your subscribers and for your customers. It goes without saying, I mean, but by spending that much, I'm like, wow, this is a big boy move, and I think like they are miles ahead of what we're seeing. Right, like there's a lot of people that were just like, oh yeah, they're just gonna put everything on Xbox and they're gonna make everything exclusive to Xbox. You could have that, yeah, you could definitely have that argument, but at the same time, you also have to look at it in a sense that it's just like, damn, bro, like these guys are aggressive, like they're aggressive to the point where they are trying to become that big of a publisher. I mean, you're grabbing one of the biggest publishers in the world, and that's putting you right there with some of the mega publishers. I'm talking obviously video games, not Microsoft value or whatever you guys want to jizz about. Like I'm just talking about just Xbox itself as a publisher, as a publishing brand. Like I mean, you're definitely putting yourself up there as in the big boy league. From that perspective, and we'll see how it plays, bro. It's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
It's going to be fun.
So, Pong, I want to make sure we get to everything we got going on. So, we got a lot to talk about this week. So, I know we're going to switch lanes just a little bit here. We had a big show today, Ubisoft Forward. Obviously, hopefully, you guys in the chat watched it. Let me know how you guys feel about the show overall, what you guys like, dislike. But this is on you, Pong. You take it over, brother.
Yeah, so we did have a big show today. You could have probably skipped the first half of the show and just go to the second half. Maybe there's a couple things in there that you found that you liked, for sure. I mean, again, we always find stuff that we like, no matter what type of show it is. I mean, the D23 show from Disney was kind of hard, but we still found some stuff in there that we liked. But today was the Ubisoft Forward. And the one thing that we are all looking forward to, Fuzzy, I know you may take the other one. You could talk about the Division as well, because I'm hyped for the Division. But what I want to focus on is Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
I talked about this. This is the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed. Big Assassin's Creed fan. I like the RPG ones, but I prefer the originals. And
man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm an original type of guy. So,
felt that in my chest.
Yeah. So when we started hearing rumors about Mirage, and we started hearing that they were going back to that classic style, and that they were going to make a smaller experience and make it much more personal, like Assassin's Creed 1, 2 were, I was all about it. Again, Altair is my favorite assassin. We didn't get the story like we did with Ezio. I love Ezio as well, but Altair will always be in my heart. So I wanted to see something like that again. And we got confirmation today in a big way. Like I said, the first half of the show was meh in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But when they got to the Assassin's Creed part, Ubisoft likes to do these big productions. They like to put on spectacle. they did a really nice job with celebrating Assassin's Creed today.
Yeah, they did.
Overall. They really
Yes, they
did.
Yeah.
And I was really excited about that. You can go back and watch the stream. I was over on Fun Speculations channel. Shout out to Mav. And we were doing a co-stream. And you could just see me sit there, and I was just watching with a smile on my face almost the entire time, because it was so
nice.
awesome to go back and relive those memories again. And so today, let's just recap, and then I'll go around and we'll get everybody's opinion on what you saw. And then I'll finish it off with my own opinions as well. But so we did today get confirmation of Assassin's Creed Mirage. We got confirmation that this is a younger Basim, of course, from Valhalla. This is going to be 20 years prior to Valhalla. Yeah. It is going to be set in the city of Baghdad in Iraq, a bustling city. They pointed out the fact that it is going to be a dense city. Oh, you're speaking my language right now. So this is going to be a dense city. I hope it's as dense, if not more, than Unity was. Unity was the most dense ever, and now we have the power of the current gen consoles. Do it, please, make it like that. So we got news of all of that. We got to see a CGI trailer. I was expecting some gameplay. I'm really shocked we didn't get any today.
Yep.
But I'm not that guy who also says I get nothing from CGI. I am the guy who says that I can take from the CGI and kind of get a rough picture of what they're going for. And they confirmed that they're going back to the older play style, removing a lot of the RPG aspects. They want the traversal, the shadows, hiding in the crowds, the assassinations to be the big points that you're going to get in Mirage, which was absolutely incredible. In the CGI trailer, you saw all of that again. So looking absolutely fantastic. So we got that news. Then they went on, and what was really cool is they decided to not just stop with Mirage, right? They decided to give us even more. They decided to kind of lay out, they actually did physically on screen, lay out an entire roadmap for us of what Assassin's Creed is going to look like over the next set of years. So next up, after Mirage, and you can go pre-order it, by the way. They said that about 10 times during the show. So you go pre-order Mirage if you want to. They got a deluxe edition, standard edition, collector's edition, you name it, they've got it for you. Of course, it's Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft. So let's go. Then they announced that they are not quite done with Valhalla yet. Of course, they made $1 billion off this franchise, off this one game. So they're not done, but they are actually giving free DLC this time. And this is called The Last Chapter. So which is going to be really, really cool. I think that this has the potential to really.
The
mic muted.
That's a thing now. Every time he fades out.
Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry.
You're good.
My internet's being wacky right now. I don't know what I can do. I think that this last chapter can really put a nice bow on the Valhalla series and kind of finish it off in the best way possible. So I think that from what we saw, and they showed a short trailer in game, of course, of this as well, looks really interesting. Can't wait to see where it goes and if they kind of tie all the loose ends up and really just, again, put a nice bow on this one. So we got that. But then we got to the really exciting parts. And this is what I was waiting for, because the rumor mill was rolling. And you know me, PTK, I spend my life in speculation town.
Oh, yeah.
I love it there. I'm hunting down. I love rumors. I want to see spoilers. I want all of it. So we had known that they are potentially, shout out to Jeffrey Grub, of course, now of Giant Bomb fame. He had first mentioned that they were going back to Japan. Now, he had said that this game was potentially a part of the Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Oh, you botting out over there.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
There you go.
We're going to be all right. But we got Jade, which is my apologies. Red, which is going to go back to Japan, right? And that's where we've all been wanting to see Assassin's Creed go. Just like we've wanted Forza Horizon to go to Japan, Assassin's Creed, of course, with their focus on history, one of the best parts of their games is their focus on the history aspects. Why not go back to that time in Japan? And we are, and we're not going to do it as a samurai. We're going to do it as a ninja, even better in my book. Okay. So we got a nice teaser trailer for that, ending with it's what we assume to be the assassin landing on a rooftop, looking like Shinobi in all of its glory,
Ninja Gaiden-esque.
Amazing ninja outfit with a little bit of assassin to it. Really cool teaser trailer. So that was the first one. And then we got Hex as well. Hexy is what they call it. It's Hexe. Now, this was one that we got word of late this week. This is my jam right here, folks. This is my jam. I've got goosebumps even thinking about it. So Hexy is going to be, well, we don't know for sure, but let me give you the rumors. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but the information so far this week has been spot on. This is going to be set during the witch trials during the last part of the Roman Empire. That's going to be around 476 AD. Okay. That's where it's supposedly set. Now, they didn't talk about any of that today, but what they showed us was a teaser for Hexy, which had even less to it than Red did for the Japanese one, because this one is going to come after the Japan one.
Yeah.
So further down the road. And what they showed off was basically a trailer with it coming down through this very dark, very, very creepy forest through barren branches, really at night, and then leading down to what can only be described so that everybody understands is, if you've seen the Blair Witch Project, okay, where they make those little things that are hanging in the trees from branches and rope and they tie them together. Yeah, that was an Assassin's Creed symbol hanging from one of the trees there. Wow. And then they said specifically that Hexy is going to be wildly different from any other Assassin's Creed that they've done, which falls in line with what we heard, that when the rumors popped, this was going to be the darkest Assassin's Creed we've ever had before. Oh my God. This is, I cannot wait to see more, hear more about this. The Japan one is already off the charts, but Hexy is up my alley. I cannot wait. Absolutely. And then we got Assassin's Creed Jade, which is the mobile game, open world mobile game. Again, mobile, take it or leave it on my side of things, but obviously very popular the world over, so we can't ignore it. Assassin's Creed Jade is going to be set in China. It looks beautiful for a mobile game. It looks like Assassin's Creed. It looks like it's going to play like Assassin's Creed. So we also got that announcement today as well. I could not be more excited for everything they did today. They talked about Assassin's Creed Infinity. What we all assumed was a kind of games as a service now sounds more like they're just creating a hub. One hub where you can access all of your Assassin's Creed games from that hub, right? That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like there's going to be some social aspect to it as well.
Didn't they mention multiplayer as well?
Well, that was a part of it. They said now, because I forget the gentleman's name, I apologize, who was doing the interview, but he said, you just said, social aspects. So I got to ask you, does that mean multiplayer is coming to Assassin's Creed? And they said, we're looking into how to bring some multiplayer to Assassin's Creed. So it sounds like Infinity is going to start as just pretty much a hub once they get that all figured out. Down the road, it didn't sound like it was coming very soon. It sounds like they're still working on this, but then they are looking at trying to see how they can implement some multiplayer into Assassin's Creed. Of course, Unity had it, but Unity didn't do well at all. It had a lot of issues when it came out, so the multiplayer never really had a chance to take off. I'm interested in see what they can do, but that was really cool. Then we also got the announcements, and these I'll kind of gloss over because I don't know how many people actually care, but Ubisoft is working with Netflix hand in hand. They're actually making some exclusive content for Netflix as well. One of them is going to be another Assassin's Creed mobile game. They didn't give us any information on it, but they said they are working on an Assassin's Creed mobile game exclusively for Netflix's new gaming division. And then that long rumored Netflix show based upon Assassin's Creed, they confirmed it today. It's happening. It's really coming. So I am excited for that. That should be fun. But overall, the games, the roadmap today really got me going. So start with our guest, of course, the great Mo here. Mo, you're an Assassin's Creed fan, obviously. Obviously, you've been talking there the entire time. I'm talking. You must be excited. You must be pumped for this. What we got coming. What got you the most excited? Was it Mirage, or was it one of the other ones with just the teasers? And where do you think this takes us? Do you think that is Ubisoft starting in a new direction where they're going to give us a smaller experience and then a bigger experience and then a smaller experience? Where do you think we're going with Assassin's Creed down the road from this?
Yeah, thanks, man. So me personally, I love Assassin's Creed, but I fell out of love with it after Origins. You can call me a boomer, whatever the hell it is. I don't really care. I'm old school Assassin's Creed.
Well, you like what you like. You like
yeah,
what you like,
I
right?
always wanted the series from before, to obviously evolve, but I did not want it to evolve into what it became nowadays. I fell out of love with the series after Origins because I felt like it got away from what made the series so great, and that was the mysterious stuff, the shadow stuff, the assassin stuff, the creed. Yes. Actually, the purpose of the games themselves and what really drove us, at least with the stories and these people that we played. And I felt like they really got away from that. I think they got away from that and instead they went with what we have today. And if you like that style, I'm not shitting on that. That's great. Everybody's got their own, everyone's got what they like, but personally, for me, I think the new formula just doesn't fit with what Assassin's Creed is. I think if Ubisoft would have made these games as their own standalone games, standalone RPGs, they still would have been very successful. Although I don't know if they would have been as successful without the Assassin's Creed name attached to it. And I think maybe that's why they finally decided to revisit the old formulas, because they started seeing a lot of people saying like, hey man, you guys have really gotten away from what the Creed is, dude, like, come on, bro. Like, I was talking to people. I'm like, look at Ezio, for instance, since he's the one that people, a lot of people always mention, Ezio, you saw him from the time he was born to his relationship with his brother, to him being raised as a spoiled brat, getting into fights and whatever, seeing his family getting massacred, and then joining the Creed and then accepting what the Creed is, right? And then he says it himself. God, he had so many great one-liners in his 3 games. They're amazing. He even said, he's like, this is bigger than me. Initially he was out for revenge, and then he realized his revenge is nothing compared to what this Creed is about and what the, what the intention of the Creed is and the purpose and whatever. He accepted that, and I feel like we've gotten away from that for all this fluff. They used to build the games and they used to build the maps around them. Now we have the maps that they build and they build the game in it. If that makes sense. and that's what I just feel like I don't like that. It's not my style. And to go back to what you were saying, Pong, I'm sorry, man, because I had to vent about it.
No, it's all yours, man. Floor is yours.
When Basim was announced, I did play about maybe 8 hours, I want to say 6 to 8 hours of Valhalla, but again, once I felt like that was really more of, what was before, I kind of just stopped. And once they announced Basim and, who I remember from Valhalla, obviously, and how they were going to back to the basics when the whole rumor stuff came out, that really kind of obviously sparked my interest. I'm like, just please don't let me down. Okay. So obviously it was confirmed today, and they're hitting all the right notes in terms of what they're telling people like me, people like me, like people who wanted that old school Assassin's Creed feel and vibe is what they're going for with Mirage. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted it more focused. Obviously, I don't want it small. I don't want it linear. They've never been linear. The mission structure was linear, but the open world obviously was still there. But they're kind of hitting those notes with me, and they have just, man, dude, I pre-ordered that collector's edition right away on Series X. Like, I didn't even hesitate. I don't fucking care. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys swear or not. I don't know if you saw gameplay or not. I didn't care. I didn't care about gameplay. I just jumped onto Ubisoft.com and I pre-ordered that thing. Like, that's how excited I was, because they hit all the notes that I wanted them to hit with me in terms of what to expect and what I wanted from this. So I'm definitely excited about Mirage. To cap that off, Pong, I agree with you 100%, man. I tweeted about it earlier during the show. I'm like, man, this whole segment on Assassin's Creed and its legacy and whatever, like it was really hitting me in the feels in terms of, you know, they did a very, very good job, you know, with respecting the franchise and what it's done and whatnot. I really, really appreciated it and liked what they did. As far as like the other games that were announced, Hexy, I'll start with that. That's obviously we don't really know much about it, you know, just like the others, but that's interesting. You know, they said that it's a different take. Hexy is made by Clint Hawking, who's one of the great creative directors in the industry.
Yes.
So he's leading that one, and apparently it's going to be a dark take, like Pong said on Assassin's Creed. What that means, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know, but whatever it is, man, I mean, it's really interesting. A lot of people, if you're talking about, you know, witch trials and whatnot, you know, especially during that time period, it's going to be cool. At least we're hoping. Red is obviously looks great. I think it fits in. You know, Pong, you were talking about samurai versus ninja.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, and I think ninja works with as an assassin.
Correct.
You know, because ninjas operate in the dark. You know, samurais, they're all honorable. They want to face you face to face. You know, blah blah blah. You know, ninjas are not like that. Ninjas will come stab your ass in the dark without even you knowing that they were there. And that's really how assassins should be. They operate in the dark, or they operate, you know, they're assassins. You're not supposed to know that they're there.
Smoke bombs. They got
exactly. So I think that definitely fits in with you know, with the Creed itself. And my hope going forward is, you know, I was joking about it. I'm like, we know that Japan as a country isn't very big. So that gives me hope that the map itself may not be very big. You know what I mean? Initially when Valhalla came out, you know, you started in Scandinavia, you're like, okay, whatever. And then you move over to England and it's just like, whoa, okay. I guess these maps are just getting bigger and bigger. Correct. So I don't mind the RPG stuff. You know, I just hope that they keep it more focused and concentrated and they give more meaningful side quests. You know, I mean, I know not every game moving forward is going to be like Mirage. You know, I hope they make more games like Mirage. You know, but if Red is going to be the next mainline one, is what they're calling it, right? That is like the next. If I remember correctly, is that like the next mainline Assassin's Creed?
I would assume it
yes,
is.
it is. That's
Yeah,
exactly what they said. Yeah, and it's by I believe Red is done by the people
Quebec.
who did Odyssey.
Quebec.
Right?
Quebec, yeah, correct.
Yeah, they did Odyssey. So
correct, yeah. So if that's going to be the next mainline one, then obviously you're going to expect, you know, RPG and whatever, and that's cool and whatever. But I just hope they can just focus it down more, and just again, you know, like the points I was making with Mirage. I hope they can make it more meaningful in terms of, you know, just give more weight to the Creed itself, to being an assassin, you know, not just like, hey, I want to go climb this statue just for shits and giggles. You know, I can't go to this section because this guy is too strong for me. So I have to go back and farm and find a bunch of question marks on the map. And then once I get enough, you know, like, you can do an RPG, but just do it in a better way, you know, that just makes everything flow better and not to ruin that vibe. You know, I mean, again, man, I love it, dude. I love Assassin's Creed, you know. I mean, and you were talking about Unity. Unity got a really bad break just because of the launch that it received and how broken it was on the PS4 and Xbox One. They just didn't do a very good job, but the game itself is freaking excellent, bro.
And now it plays beautifully.
Unity is such a beautiful game. The game is excellent. They want to recreate the crowds from Unity in Mirage. Just FYI. The density of Unity was one of the first times that they created. That was the first time they created that much density in an Assassin's Creed game in terms of crowds, and that was one of their inspirations for Mirage. So Unity did a lot of good things right. They even I remember they included brand new animations for climbing and climbing down. You know, like I remember the first time they showed off the game when they showed how you can actually climb down now and how much more nimble the Arnaud was, you know, than the previous assassins before him. So they did a really good job with that. It got a bad break, but now I guess it's in a good state. So it's cheap. You should play it on Xbox. It's definitely backwards compatible in 60 FPS. I could talk about Assassin's Creed all night. I'm sorry if I went on.
All good, brother.
I'm really excited, man. My old heart is happy. I'll just say that.
Yeah, no, and again, yeah, Unity pushed things. They tried to do things in Unity to just the hardware couldn't keep up with. Like they were actually really pushing it, and that was the fantastic part about it. And like I said, now it plays awesome. Everybody should go back and play it. So I hope they bring that exact same standard to Mirage, because now we have the hardware that can handle it. So PTK.
Yes, sir.
What did you get out of specifically the Assassin's Creed portion of this show? Did any of these really excite you, or is there one that stood out more than the others? What do you think, brother, with this whole production that we did today?
So I'm admittedly not as big as Assassin's Creed fans as you two are. Obviously, like I don't even think it's close as far as the way you guys feel about Assassin's Creed to me. But I do want to give Ubisoft kudos for giving a roadmap for one. Right, they laid things out. Now we didn't get hard dates. Obviously, a lot of things can change in the day and age of delays. Who the hell knows where any of these games are actually going to fall? They didn't even get one for Mirage. That's 2023, and we know what's happening in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck. I don't know where it's going to fit, but good luck. But either way, I'm excited. I do enjoy that the games are going back, but I do remember I'm a little older, just like you, Mo, Pong, Fuzz as well. People got tired of the old Assassin's games. People didn't want to play that shit at the end before the Xbox One came out. By the end of the 360 generation, people didn't even want to play Assassin's Creed. That's why they made the change and started going open world RPG, because they had to. Nobody wanted to play that style of game anymore at that point. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad game. It's just people had moved on. I remember people like, I don't want to play this game anymore. Like, can you do something different with this franchise? I don't know why people felt that way, but that's just kind of the ebb and flow. Now, I am very, very glad that they're getting back to more character-driven, more story-driven.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that's absolutely why we fell in love with Assassin's Creed to begin with. Ezio, Altair, phenomenal stories, and the game was built around those stories of the characters. It wasn't built around, like you said, the huge map size and all these side quests. It was built around the main character.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I enjoyed. That's what I enjoyed personally. But I understand you have to expand, and Origins was amazing, Odyssey was amazing. Those games sold quite a bit, so I understand. And I wonder if Red's actually going to go back to that, like you said, because the same people that made Odyssey are also making Red. So we don't know. Ubisoft, they tend to ebb and flow with how they make the games and what they want to do. They put out a lot of stuff. They say a lot of things, but I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys as Assassin's Creed fan to finally be getting what you guys want. I hope you guys get everything you guys want out of this particular game, Mirage, for sure, because like I said before, I'm not quite the fans that you guys are. I'm still excited because I definitely want to see, what the game looks like. Now, I do wish we would have seen a little bit more gameplay. I did expect to see a little bit more gameplay, but once again, you never know, with these types of things. Maybe they didn't feel like it was the right time. Maybe we'll get some E3 time, maybe pre-E3, depending on when this comes out next year. But really, just to wrap this up, I don't want to take too much time. I'm excited about where this franchise is going. The new games, Red, like you said, with Hexy, I believe it was called as well.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting. I heard some people talking about, now I don't know if this is going to happen, but maybe some supernatural aspects in that game as well. We might start to see some type of, and I don't know how you guys will feel about that. I kind of wanted to ask that as well. If they go there with Assassin's Creed, like we start to see supernatural stuff, is that okay? Now, I know there's some of that in Valhalla as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, bro, that's fine with the supernaturals. Look at the fucking Apple of Eden. I mean, it's always been there. I mean, so and now if they're going with a different take, in a more supernatural, bring it on, bro.
100%.
I love that. See, I love how flexible you guys are. You know what I mean? Like as far as being able to, I love that, because there's some rigid fans out there, and you got to get with the times. You know what I'm saying? But
hey,
ultimately,
if it fits the story, PTK, if it fits the story, if they're not forcing it in, shoehorning it in somewhere where it doesn't belong, then absolutely. If you're going to go to the witch trials and you're going to explore that time frame with some supernatural, of course, absolutely do it. That'd be fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, well, I mean, that was pretty much ultimately. I think that portion of the show was
also
phenomenal.
I'm sorry. One shout out to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That game always gets treated like a
It
Yes,
freaking black
does.
sheep.
That was a
sir.
really good game.
Syndicate
It
was an
a
incredible
really good
freaking game. Evie
It was a
Fry
really
is
good
the
game.
baddest
Yep.
bitch in the Assassin's Creed
Evie
universe.
and
I love her.
Jacob. Yeah, they were
She
such a
is-
great story. They
Evie
were
Fry
so-
is my girl, man.
People never
She was
talk about
always.
that Assassin's Creed,
Nope.
and it was a really,
I
really
love
good
her.
damn game. It was a
She's
good.
such a. She's so bad. I love her, man. If you play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, just play as Evie Fry. You won't even miss anything. By not playing as Jacob. Just her comebacks and her British, just the British humor in the game itself. And then they made the traversal in the game using that hook, from one building to another. It made it so much easier. So yeah. Much love to Syndicate too, man.
I've been
The
saying
game
it on
doesn't get
shows
enough love.
all week, Mo. I've mentioned it every time we talk Assassin's
Love
Creed. I'm like,
Syndicate.
everybody go play Syndicate, the most
It's so good.
underrated Assassin's
It's
Creed.
so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
All right, that's it. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. So that was pretty much my take on that particular portion of the show. I think they did a good job at least laying things out. We'll see where everything falls, but kudos to Ubisoft for being as transparent as they can. You know what I mean? We crucify studios for putting out information about games too early. But I mean, what else? Them giving you a roadmap for a franchise like Assassin's Creed, I think that's always a positive thing, even if the game seems super far out, because they're so anticipated. So it gives you a little bit of a frame to work with as far as, okay, how much time do I think we might have? So kudos to Ubisoft. I think they did a great job on that part of the show.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly, and great points,
definitely.
PTK for sure. Fuzzy, what is going on, brother? You saw the Assassin's Creed, and you got to see all the different places we're going to go in. Like PTK said, again, I gave him props when we were doing the co-stream as well for laying out the roadmap. Not a lot of companies are doing that, even without dates. I don't care about dates anymore. Like I said, I'm not listening to dates
throw that
anymore.
shit out the window, bro.
I don't care. Again,
tell me when it's ready.
Knock on my door when we're 2 weeks out from launch, okay? Then go ahead and let me know that you're ready, okay? I don't care anymore. So, but they did give us a roadmap to give us an idea, which not a lot of companies do. They obviously came with a lot of confidence. If you watch the show today, they are leaning into Assassin's Creed. Now, we criticize Ubisoft plenty. They've got franchises that they've broken, that they got to fix. But with Assassin's Creed, it seems like they've got the winning formula now. And for you, what did you see today specifically, Fuzzy, from your own experience with Assassin's Creed and where it's going? What was it about today that really said, hey, I may need to go and actually take the time to invest in playing some of these Assassin's Creed coming out?
Well, there was a couple of things. Like, I'm more of the newer RPG fan, more so than the earlier Assassin's Creeds. Now, keep that in mind. Origins is my favorite, and it's kind of tapered off after that. Like, I didn't like Odyssey as much and didn't like Valhalla as much, but there are things in those games that I prefer or wish that were in Origins as far as mechanics. So seeing some of the stuff as far as Mirage, like the one thing I did like about Unity is that crowd density. It felt more alive. Like you're not just in a game where there's like 5 people at a cart or 1 or 2 horses and things like that. There was like literally like walking the streets of New York, but like in that time period where you had tons of people. You had store vendors, you had interiors that you could enter and things along those lines. So if they have that incorporated also in Mirage, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Plus, hearing word that it's more of a concise, focused story. Like my bigger complaint with Odyssey and Valhalla in comparison to Origins, yes, it was a bit of a grind fest, but the others felt more of a grind fest in comparison. So having something that I can probably knock out in 20 to 40 hours is right up my alley, as opposed to like right now, I think I'm 80 hours into Valhalla and I'm less than 60% done. 80 hours for Origins, I was able to complete everything, including DLC. And I think, what is it? Odyssey, I probably hit around 110 hours and I'm only about 2/3 through the DLC, but completed the story and everything and all the side quests and stuff. So having something more concise, definitely what I'm looking forward to. But the 2 big standouts for me, the first one being Red, or codename Red. I don't know if you guys knew, and I've probably, talked about it enough when it first came out, but Ghost of Tsushima was like
Mhm.
my game of the year a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it was like what Ubisoft should have done a while ago.
Yeah.
And there were even some updates to their mechanics as far as like instead of having like lines on the map or like markers, having that wind blow type of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
That was cool, and a little bit of a different change or a change that seemed to fit as opposed to breaking the immersion kind of deal.
Sure.
So
Sure.
if they are able to incorporate some of the stuff that they've seen their competitors do, and keep it more of a concise story. And like Dr. Mo said, it's Japan. So hopefully it's not this big, expansive map that you have to, go to every corner and find every little, marker
Yeah.
and collectible. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they have the dismemberment from Valhalla, because that is the biggest thing I love about Valhalla, is that
Oh
you can
yeah.
chop arms off and chop heads off. I know that
Mhm.
sounds a bit morbid, but hey, that fits the weaponry that you're going to have. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping they have the best of all the things they've learned from their own games, as well as what they may have seen in the same kind of space, and incorporate that into Red. Now, as far as Hexy, one other thing I liked about Valhalla is that when they had I think it was like the three sisters, I think it was three
Yes.
witches.
The Fates.
Yeah, if that's more of like the supernatural stuff that you may encounter, or that you may, level up and have some similar abilities, I hope that is what this is. If it's tied into like the Salem witch trials and things along those lines, and has a mixture of that dark, going through the forest, and now you have to worry about, okay, there's like a marker that's in a building that's draining your health, or there's like just a lot of the things that you saw in Valhalla type of deal.
Mhm.
I'm all for that one as well. So that's huge. But Infinity is kind of like what I want in the Division and in Forza Horizon, or at least
Yes.
that's the feeling I'm getting from it.
Mhm.
Not just the multiplayer aspect, where they were saying hopefully they're working on the multiplayer in the single instance type of deal. So it's almost like you can do co-op story stuff
Right.
in those maps if you have them. Like you
Mhm.
said, a hub. Where the thing I would love to see in like Forza Horizon is have all the maps of all the areas that they've done before accessible, and it's just like you drive to the airport and then you can fast travel to Australia for Horizon 3, or you can go
Mhm.
back to England and Horizon 4 and stuff like that. So if they're going to do something similar where I can go to Egypt for Origins from this hub, or if I can, fast travel over to Red for the upcoming game and things along those lines, and have it where if you guys have those copies, we can go ahead and do co-op missions, and they'll have like updates, or like repeat, like the same type of repeat missions that you can kind of go through and approach
Mhm.
differently, like in things like the Division. I'm all for it, and that was like I think the biggest standout going forward as far as like the Assassin's Creed,
Sure.
universe per se. But a lot of things are exciting from that whole Assassin's Creed section. Not my favorite Ubisoft game, but it's definitely up there,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see a lot of these things,
They-
come within the next couple of years.
Yeah. Sorry, just one last thing. The only thing actually I didn't mention Infinity. Pong, I know, this whole hub, connecting
Yeah.
the games and whatever, but I'm wondering how that's going to work. Because if Infinity itself is a hub,
Yeah.
is that going to be considered a live service hub? I mean, is Assassin's Creed Infinity going to have its own subscription?
That's the
Because
question, right? And
because
again,
if
they
you're
didn't
going to
answer
connect,
that today.
yeah,
Right.
they really haven't. So to be honest with you, I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
It's
even today, I
Ubi.
don't
I
feel
would
like
just
they
brace
answered.
for whatever happens, man.
I don't feel like they answered all those questions, to be
No.
honest
Oh,
with
they
you. Because
didn't.
what if
No.
somebody owns just 2 games?
Right.
What if you only own like 2 games of the series, right? So I mean,
And
I
maybe
don't
when you
think there's
hop into the Animus, because I have a feeling it's going to be the Animus, right?
Yeah.
The
yeah,
hub is going to be the modern kind of world, and we're going to be walking around with our avatars, and you're going to have the Animus machines there, and you hop in an Animus machine and take off for whichever the Assassin's Creed you want to go to, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
my feeling on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right, Mo. They didn't really give us even a hint about exactly how this is going to work. If you don't own them, are you just locked out of those areas? Nope, sorry, memory not available. Right?
They could do kind of along the lines of like what Destiny 2 does, where if you didn't have the expansion, you could still go to those other planets. It's just that some of the particular raids or some of the particular strikes you won't be able to do. But there are other things that you can do in that other location. So if you go to Mars, you're not going to be able to do this one strike, but you'll be able to,
Run
access all
around
the
and do
normal
some-
story,
yeah.
quote unquote, story mission things. So
Sure.
that, considering how old those games are, and the fact that a lot of times you see them in humble bundles for dollars on end,
Yeah.
I would say make those free to play at this point. Like if it's an Assassin's Creed like Origins, Odyssey, or something like that, and it's 5-6 years old now, go ahead and make it free to play. You'll be able to upcharge or get the microtransaction money on the armor sets or the cosmetics for your horse or something along those lines. And I think that might be the best way for them to monetize it and still have it where you can play with friends, go through missions, and level up your character. That's at least my hope.
I can already see the pop-ups as you hop in the Animus and you try to take off for one of the locations you don't have, and it says memory locked, and then another pop-up comes up and says, join Ubisoft Plus today and have access to all the memories.
Oh yeah.
You know damn well that's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're gonna figure out some way to
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
they're gonna figure that out. Oh yeah.
Of course. No, great thoughts, brothers. Again, it sounds like even PTK, who's not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, you still saw stuff today that was exciting. And for us that are big AC fans, it was exciting. And Mo, I feel you that the RPG experiences did get away. I like them for their own thing, right? Because again, they still, at the end of the day, for me, it's the history. And I know they take a lot of liberties with the history, but they do so much research that it really is. I'm a history dude. I love being back in those times that Ubisoft has put on my screen and created, because a lot of it is accurate. A lot of it is actual factual stuff. And so for me, that's the most exciting part. And today we got it. I think that really they might have finally figured out that we can have both types of Assassin's Creed exist at the same time. I think they finally realized that, yes, we're not going to stop doing the Valhallas. We just made $1 billion. Like, we'd be dumb. Okay. That we'd be dumb to go away from that. There's plenty of people who love that style, but we can also go back and give to those other fans that really enjoy the smaller experiences. We can make a more personal experience. We can delve into some different characters like Bussum and give him a fully fleshed out story. Whereas, we got some of it in Valhalla, but he was more a side character, right? But we can go back and we can flesh some of that out and give him all that, give the player all that knowledge about that character by doing a smaller experience. And so I think that's where it gets exciting for me. If this is what we're seeing and they're going to start alternating these, and I kind of know the roadmap, that's going to be really good. Now, I think, like you said, hopefully with Red, if they're going to go back and do the RPGs, maybe they also heard like, hey, you don't have to make it quite so big. Like 80 hours to do everything would be decent. But when we get to 150 hours to get everything done, we don't necessarily need to go that big anymore. But we'll see where they go. Again, they made $1 billion. Can't fault them if they go. But I just think that I'm excited for the future of Assassin's Creed. I'm excited that Ubisoft seemingly has had a light go on in that dark house somewhere and finally say, hey, we can kind of go back to some of the roots here. We can live with both of them existing at the same time. We can create this new Infinity Hub where everybody can kind of connect together, all the Assassin's Creed fans, however they're going to pull it off. Obviously do the mobile stuff. They're always going to do the mobile stuff. We saw plenty of that today as well. But all of that can be a part of the Assassin's Creed, legacy. Again, and respecting the history of Assassin's Creed today, that was a big part for me. I mean, again, seeing them really, really, really not just surface level, but really showing off how much they know that franchise means to so many of us, and means obviously to their teams that created them. Really did hit home today. So I thought it was a great show. Great way to end the show, and I think they did a marvelous job with the Assassin's Creed part. So thank you all, brothers, for your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Sure, man.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. So let's go ahead and turn this over to Fuzz. I know you got something on the docket that you want to talk about as well, man. So it's on you, brother.
Well, I appreciate Pong kind of giving me the layup as far as with the Ubisoft show.
I knew where you're going to go.
So let's go ahead and dive into the slightly earlier part of the show with the Division. I'm not sure, Dr. Mo.
I don't know if you can hear me rubbing my hands together.
No, yeah, I'm just gonna listen to you here, brother. You go ahead. You let it rip.
All right. So with the Division, anybody that knows me and knows PTK and even Pong, they know we've played it off and on, and the biggest, I guess, gripe is that there's been lack of some support of that game. It's kind of they put Division 2 out there, and then they did the DLC like a year and a half later with the Warlords in New York. And there was a couple of seasons after that. And then it went like radio silent. So understandably, massive. The main focal point as far as the dev team for this has been working on Avatar. And then they got another team or portion of that team working on a Star Wars IP coming up. So all hands on deck for those other big games that they're working on in the background. So they've made it so it's almost like, I won't say a skeleton crew, but it was kind of a skeleton crew for these past couple of seasons, which that was after like almost a 3 to 4 month hiatus of radio silence for a while. All the while, they had all of these grand ideas as far as a Ghost Recon game and a mobile what is it, Splinter Cell game and Rainbow Six expansions, and some of the stuff hit, some of the stuff got canceled, some of the stuff got canceled before they even really talked about it. But in the grand scheme of things, we got to see some of that today. And I'll start off with one of the key things, well, not key things, but one of the smaller things that they showed today was the Ubisoft, the Tom Clancy Division Resurgence, which is your mobile game. And I'm not going to go too far into the mobile game, but in the grand scheme of things, if you were a fan of Division 1, but wanted to play that on your phone, it looks like from at least the initial stuff, although they're still doing like closed tests and things like that you can sign up for, it looks like it's going to be a bit more of like a Division 1 where it's the first wave going into the dark zone. So a lot of that lore that made the Division 1, especially the dark zone, so appealing, you'll actually be able to get some of the inside story stuff that how Keener came up and things along those lines for that first wave. But kind of caught my attention. I like I said, not going to focus too much on that. We also got to see a little bit more of the Heartland, which is this open world, free to play version of the Division that's going to be kind of like Middle America for the most part. Now, they didn't really show that much gameplay, but they did show some of the scenery, which it is going to look more like your small town USA type of regions, where you're looking to kind of clear some of the areas that have infection, and you're going to be working with either other players or possibly working against other players in those areas. So they didn't go into as much detail if it's more PvPvE or if it's primary PvE with some PvP available. But in the grand scheme of things, we at least got to see some of it. Also, since it's still fairly early, they're also doing closed tests still. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If you go ahead and register, if you have a PC, do the registration. If you have a console, go ahead and register as well. But chances are they're not going to open up the console ones until almost before the game is ready to launch. The PC ones will probably be the ones that get the green light a lot easier. But it was good to see something that we've been kind of itching for a while kind of show up at this. Now, the meat and potatoes for me is that it seems like that skeleton crew is getting additional help and additional resources. So at this point, we're getting a few more seasons, and there's going to be a lot more stuff or things continually being added as time goes on.
Don't call
So
it a comeback, Fuzz.
I know, right?
yeah,
Man.
it's one of those things where I think they now almost have like a 5-year plan, kind of.
Yeah.
Although they're only going to really talk about the fifth year itself, as far as basically up to next year, as far as the season upgrades and some of the manhunts and some of the other modes that they're going to add, as well as cosmetics, gear, some of the probably expansions as far as possibly being more map stuff. But as a Division fan, I was happy to see it they're finally returning their focus or some attention to this franchise, which, all intents and purposes, I think is kind of like that hidden gem or that little gold mine that they've been searching for, this quick cash on mobile for such a long time, or quick cash in some of these other game franchises that they were going to try to start, like X Defiant or whatever. But they finally are coming to, I guess, their senses to some extent, and putting the focus back on the Division. So I'll start with Dr. Mo. As far as when it comes to the Division, as far as anything from this Ubisoft forward, was there anything that jumped out at you, whether it be the mobile Heartland or they're refocusing on more content for Division 2 that stood out to you as something that might get you back into the game?
I think yeah. So I put a lot of time into Division 2 when it first came out, and honestly, man, it's been a long time since I've jumped back in. I think there's been a lot of stuff that has come out, obviously, ever since that has just taken my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But usually with with especially like with live service games or multiplayer games, there's so many of them to play, and I try to honestly not play too many of them. For instance, like my go-to multiplayer game is Halo Infinite. I mean, it's been like that, honestly. I mean, everybody knows I'm a Halo slappy. I love Halo, but I like to try other stuff. I haven't tried the Division in a long time. I know I have a few friends who are really into the Division, and I saw today. I'm just happy that they continue to support this game, man. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, all these expansions and everything that I saw today, and even them like diving into Ubisoft's really going hardcore into mobile. I mean, with China and now like Division and freaking Rainbow Six. I mean, they're definitely hitting that hardcore. So from what I saw today, again, like my whole take from it is it's impressive that they continue to support it. The projects themselves look great, and honestly, like I can only speak as somebody who just doesn't play it. I mean, I don't have I can't dive into it too much like you guys can. I mean, if you do play it. But from what I saw, I mean, it was impressive. I mean, honestly, like that's about as simple as I can make it. Like I like the fact that they continue to support us and they continue to feed the fans of the Division. I don't know how this support is compared to the first. I'm assuming this one's going a lot longer than the Division 1, right? Like in terms of DLC and content. Yeah. So it seems like if they keep at this rate, it's going to be a long time until we see the Division 3, huh? I mean, if they're giving people so many reasons to continue playing this game, honestly, there's no reason to flip it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm really speaking out of ignorance, regarding this game, because I don't know it as much as you do, Fuzzy. I mean, it seems like you love it and you play it so much. So do you feel like do you feel like this is good that they continue doing it, or are you just ready for 3? Or I don't know.
I'm kind of mixed. Like I'm glad that they're still supporting it, but as far as a Division 3, like I've had some theories on what that would entail, and I'm a little hesitant to kind of have them push that just yet.
Yeah.
Like I definitely want them to kind of wrap things up with Avatar and with the Star Wars game, which I have a feeling that might take away from me playing Division 3 to some extent when that launches. So I can, it's fine if they push or postpone Division 3 for a bit. But my theories on Division 3 is that we will finally wake up from the lie that we're the bad guys all along, and the rogues are the actual good team, or the ones on the right side of, I guess, history or the storyline, and then we will be more than just hunted. But they can go in so many directions, and the fact that they're still doing story stuff to kind of keep us engaged, that keeps me happy enough. And then when they are ready to say Division 3, I'll probably lose my mind type of deal. But in the meantime, the support is well welcomed.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right. I think that it seems like sorry, what was the name of the studio?
Red Storm. You talk about Heartland?
Red Storm.
No, the creators
Massive.
of Division. Massive. Thank you. I think they have their hands full, between the Star Wars game and Avatar. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a long time till we see 3 for sure.
Yeah. Now, as far as with you, Pong, I know you played a good bit as well, although you've taken a break from it and you've gone back to one of your other favorites with Battlefield and stuff like that. But what you saw today, was there anything that really caught your attention that might bring you back at least to either hop in for a short period of time, or at least some of the newer stuff that they have out there that you may want to try?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an ongoing thing where we hop back in and hop back out, right? I me as a grazer, it's really hard for me. But Division 1 was one of my top 5 Xbox played games when that 20th anniversary came around, and we got to see that. So I put my time in Division, not you, Fuzzy, not like you, right? I'm not that, okay? Because I got too many other things I want to play. But for sure, I want to see where they're taking this, because my comments today when we were co-streaming, and then afterwards, I get the feeling that that somewhere in that dark house of Ubisoft, a light has gone on, and they've seen that they have exactly what we've talked about here, brothers. This is the game that they've always wanted. Now, I think that, like you said, they're throwing more support at it. I think they were planning on letting it die. And then obviously the resurgence happened after they did the patch. They saw everybody come back to it, everybody really enjoying it, along with, of course, still the hardcore fan base that was playing it nonstop. And I think that they saw that they could do something with this. And then, they made some promises. Promises fell through. They didn't quite make up to it. But now I think they've got a team together. And I think that once Red Storm gets done with Heartland, obviously they're going to continue to support Heartland as well. But I think that we might see the convergence of those two games like we've talked about. Like, that was my idea, that Division 2, just you add on Heartland, it becomes all free to play, and you could travel between Heartland and the cities. And I think that this could potentially happen down the road before they start working on number 3, because I think 3 does happen now. And I think they use Heartland and what's happened with Division 2 and these now updates that they're talking about. They talk about, year 5 is coming. They're committed. So year 5 is happening. I think they kind of use Heartland and Division 2 as testing grounds, a lot like what we see Undead Labs doing with State of Decay moving forward as they upgrade Snowdrop, as they, get into current gen. The user base probably is still quite heavy on last gen for Division 2. And so I think that when they see, they're going to start making improvements, start testing things out in these two games and kind of seeing where it goes, and then lay kind of the foundation for where they're going to take 3. And so I think that that's really going to be interesting, because I think that Ubisoft now understands Division could be their destiny at the end of the day. I'm not saying it's going to be, I'm not going to say it's as big as Destiny. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying it could be that living game when they come out with number 3. If they take everything they learned from Division 2 and they take everything they learned from Heartland, being the free to play with the PvE, VP, all that kind of stuff that they're trying out in Heartland, that's going to be a little different than 2. And they kind of combine all that together, they might have that special thing in Division 3 that becomes, that living game that's monetized, that they've always wanted, that they can just continually add to, like you see Bungie doing with Division and coming out with big expansions. I think they could pull this off. And I think that they're...
Cut out again. The internet cutting out on you, Pong over there. Yeah, I think he think
Bong! No!
Think the mic cut out on
Jim
Bong,
Ryan in that van.
no!
We
Jim Ryan
we
again,
gotta
right?
put an alert out there for that van.
So I mean, if you, I don't know if you want me to pick
Yeah.
it up. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll come back to Pong when
Okay.
everything clears for him. But PTK, you already know. Like
yeah,
we still play this game
yeah,
almost on like a at least a weekly basis, if not
Yeah.
almost a daily basis on occasion. So, out of what you saw today, what caught your attention the most? Like I already know you're already going to be up here the day that they do the update up here playing, but what other things may have like stood out, whether it be from like Heartland or the mobile game or any of the stuff that they laid out as like the kind of placeholder for the roadmap type of deal?
So for me, easy. Just the fact that they said, "Hey, we're going to continue to support the game," right? That's a big monkey off my back, so to speak. I'm like, oh, thank God, because it could have went the other direction. The way it was looking, the broken promises, all the dates they missed, everything they told us about what they were going to give us, and none of that really came. It was a very, very slow drip, almost to the point. So there was, like you said, there was a period of time where there was just no content, nothing from the devs at all. There was no talk on Twitter. It was just completely silence, and I was a bit worried that was going to continue. So just to hear them say we have a plan, same way, as you felt about Assassin's Creed mode, they have a plan, they have a roadmap. That's a big sigh of relief for me. Now, as far as the story and some of the things that I think that they can build on that I saw, obviously the seasons are great. This last season in particular that we got recently with Division 2, really kind of got me that story kicked back up, because we're learning more about what's going on. And like you said, we'll finally get to see what side are we actually on. So I'm happy that they're building on that. I think the new season is in like 3 days. Didn't they, the 13th or something? Or didn't they mention something
like
about
that,
the 13th or something? So we'll get more content at that point. But between this and Heartland, I'm super excited. Obviously, we didn't get any type of date for Heartland as well, right?
No,
I don't think we got anything.
Just that you can sign and register
Sign up.
for.
So
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that as well too. They didn't give a date for Assassin's Creed. Who knows? I assume next year at some point. And I do agree with you. PC is probably going to be something that people are going to get to play, first, before we get to the consoles. But I'm excited, man. I put a ton of hours. Me and you play Division 2 all the time. I always said it's the game. They've always overlooked the game. They've had this game that they wanted to make right in front of them, and they've for some reason just neglected it. This game to me has the foundation, has the infrastructure just to be as big as Destiny. Now, will it ever get to that point? I doubt it, because of the damage that it's already done, but it can definitely be a lot bigger than it currently is. I think the game is phenomenal. You have the build diversity, the stories there, you have the characters there. It has everything you need to be a great games of service type game going forward. They will need to work on the snowdrop, because I think a part of the reason why the game was stagnant is because the engine, you just couldn't do much more with it. Destiny had the same issue. Remember, they had the sunset stuff to be able to continue to build on top of Destiny 2. And you were getting content that you pay for taken away. Yeah. So I don't think they wanted to do that with Division. They haven't done that, thank God, with the Division 2. So I think that they're going to have to build on that snowdrop and get it to the point to where they're not going to have to, cut it. Imagine 2 years from now, they say, all right, we're going to get rid of, Warlords in New York. You're not going to be able to play that anymore. You're like, what the hell is that all about? So I think that they're going to go back to the drawing board, work on that engine. It gets me extremely excited about the future. Heartland looked good. Once again, I don't really know what to expect from that game. It is free to play. I do worry a little bit about free to play and Ubisoft, because I don't know quite, what their aim is. It is, I assume that, they're going to lean heavy into microtransactions. Hopefully all of that stuff is cosmetic. There are, microtransactions and things already in Division 2, but once again, it's all cosmetic. None of it actually affects any gameplay. So as long as they keep that same, idea that we're only going to leave that stuff to cosmetics, I'm fine with that. Free to play is a little scary to me, you know what I mean? But I'm willing and open, because it is a division to go forward, and it's new content. I'm ready to go to a new area, see some new stuff, see some new characters. So I'm excited. Man. I really can't ask for much more. I just can't wait for this to get to us, man. I mean, that's really all I have to say about it. I'm super excited just to hear anything going forward, and they have a plan. I'm all for it, brother.
Nice. Pong is what do you call him? Ryan still out there in the van, or everything good now?
I don't know.
Getting a signal scrambled.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
Damn it. No, but I really like Pong's idea when he had made mention a while back of having like Heartland as like part of the expansion of the map, where it's like you travel there, just like you can travel to, the Warlords of New York. You could travel to Heartland, have it where either like there's daily missions or other events and things like that you're called to, and you travel over there, get everything complete, get extracted, come back to the main map, and go through your crafting table and so forth from there. But man, oh man, as a Division fan, yeah, I was relieved, pleased, still a little nervous because seeing a lot of these mobile games and some of the stuff. Didn't get to see one of the things that I know Mav and probably a few other people in the chat were hopefully hoping to hear something about, but that's probably down the road, would be like a future Splinter Cell. Maybe if the cards are right in a year or two, we'll see something. Another thing I know a few people were hoping to see were something more for Rainbow Six that's not mobile per se. You have, at least on PC, you have these more tactical shooter games that are out there in like early access, like Ready or Not. And it would be nice to see like a either more of another update graphically for Rainbow Six, or maybe some expansions as far as the map rotation and stuff like that. So, but awesome Ubisoft show. Love hearing your guys' feedback on this stuff. Now it's time for everybody in the chat to drop in their questions if they haven't already.
yeah. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. We're waiting on Pong to get back. Not sure, obviously, if you're just getting in here. Pong's been having internet issues pretty much the entire show, so he may or may not be able to jump back in. Once again, it's not really up to him, if the internet cuts out, unfortunately. So hopefully he's able to get back in here before we wrap this thing up here in a few minutes. But if you have a question or two, go ahead and drop it in the chat. You guys have been amazing so far. Thank you so much for joining us. Every single weekend, you guys show up. The chat's always been amazing. So if you have a question, I think we actually might have got one way earlier. I have to go back. But I do want to ask you, Mo, one thing as well. Wasn't there a rumored Assassin's Creed remake?
Yes.
What happened to that?
So I don't think that has been rumored, actually, a Assassin's Creed 1 remake. I would love to see them go down that route, to be honest with you. I think it would introduce a lot of people to the history of the games themselves. I'm sure millions of people really started getting in. Maybe, I mean, obviously this is just an assumption, but I'd like to think that a lot of people's first Assassin's Creed game in the new generation was Origins, and they probably just a lot of people decided to forego the old ones, whether it's Black Flag or 3 or Syndicate or Unity, whatever, and I think if they take like a Resident Evil like approach and they remake the old ones, in a sense, I think it would actually work out very good, man. If they can update, especially one now, if you play it, obviously it's dated. Really
dated.
I mean, they're all going to feel a bit dated up until maybe 4, I want to say, up until Black Flag, which is still dated anyway, but still, I mean, that was like the beginning of last generation. They didn't announce it today, obviously. I don't think they're ready to announce that yet. Maybe another time. But if that does happen, dude, that would be amazing, But the thing is I think they probably didn't do it right now just because of the fact that, it's the environment, I guess, if you want to say, or just the where it takes place. Like, for instance, like Assassin's Creed 1 takes place in Jerusalem and Accra, and really that whole Middle Eastern region. Yeah. And I don't think that they wanted to announce 2 games in the Middle East, just to take away attention from one versus the other.
That makes sense.
I think so, at least. I think just announcing Mirage and it kind of like quote going back to the roots, I think that was just going to generate a lot of hype, and I think they wanted to keep the attention on that for now. And I do think the 1 remake, if it's true, if it's going to be announced, I think it'll get its own time at a point where there's going to be like a lull in between like the mainline games, I guess, if you want to say. I mean, what right now we're 2 years into Valhalla. And for all we know, maybe that's probably what they're going to do from now on, and I actually welcome that. Or they could probably go in the future. They'll probably go another 2 years, 2 to 3 years. They'll take like a Call of Duty approach, where they'll go 2 to 3 years in between each mainline game. Well, I don't want to say Call of Duty approach, because in order for Activision to do that, what they did is they brought on 4 studios to make a mainline game, and that way each studio has 3 years in between to make their game. So I think they have, if they decide to do that, and then in between these games announce one of these smaller games, like an Assassin's Creed 1 remake would still be like Mirage, or vice versa, obviously, because that's what it's based, because that's its inspiration. But I would love that, man. I think if they introduce the smaller games in between the big mainline games, that would actually work out quite well for them. And it doesn't have to be remakes. It doesn't have to be remakes, but I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool for a lot of people who did not experience Altair's story to see it from the beginning, with updated gameplay and whatnot and visuals. And obviously Ezio, who's a fucking goat, in the video game space. I think if they ever decided to redo that, I mean, they have to do it with love and care, because there's a lot of people like me who love Ezio.
Looks like Pong may be back. You back, Pong?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Man, I am so sorry, chat.
Oh, it's okay.
So sorry,
the van drove off. The van drove off.
Running them off the block.
I'm definitely getting attacked tonight. Holy cow! All right,
man.
I guess I put on too many shows and talked too much crap this weekend.
So I do want to kind of wrap the show up here. I do want to ask a question. Shout out to, I know Mav talked about this during the show earlier. I watched the stream, by the way, Pong. I was in chat.
Yes.
As well as Shonsu. Shout out to Modity or Shonsu. He asked a question earlier, and this is pretty big deal. And they didn't answer. They didn't talk about this at all. Ubisoft Plus console.
Yeah.
So they didn't mention this at all, but we've heard multiple different times this past year that this was supposed to be a thing. So I just want to get everybody's quick opinion on where is that at, and if that's still a thing. So we'll start with you, Mo.
Yeah, I noticed it too, man, especially when they kept saying, we have a promotional offer, free 1 month. And then they're like, what they said, PC, the Stadia? Mobile?
Yeah.
Did they say Stadia or Luna or some shit like that? I can't remember. But yeah, then I'm like, where are the consoles? I'm like, do you know how many console players are watching your show right now? And yet you didn't. I don't know, man. I don't know if I have no idea if they are planning on bringing it to console now, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's maybe because of, like obviously on the Xbox side, you have Game Pass, and I don't think that Ubisoft wants to incorporate their service into Game Pass.
I don't think so either.
There's no way. There's just no way. I mean, I can't see that happening unless there's a price increase. And obviously, all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes in terms of them working out like some type of contractual financial agreement. But they probably don't feel like, I don't know if maybe Ubisoft doesn't think that this would probably work out for them in the console space, because now you have Game Pass on Xbox. And even though, the whole PlayStation service is brand new, that's still it's going to continue to get better with time. And obviously that's going to get more subscribers. So I think they probably are leaning on the fact that maybe people don't want to pay for 2 subscriptions on a console, and I think they would just, they feel like it's just better on PC and whatever the hell it is. So if it doesn't come to console, I really wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because the omission was very, very obvious, like you said.
Super obvious. Obvious. Yeah. So it's like you said, it's a strange thing. There's a lot of great points too, Mo, and that may be the case. They may have looked at Game Pass. They may have looked at this new Sony service and be like, you know what? I think we might be okay, to kind of stand on our own 2 legs. Now, obviously, EA went ahead and made the jump, right into Game Pass, and it's part of Game Pass Ultimate. So, and it seems to have worked out for EA. Right? Like that seems to have been a good thing for EA. Obviously, EA is not quite in the same space that, Ubisoft, they function a bit differently.
Thing is, Yeah, but the thing is with EA, even their new releases, though, they're still timed to release.
Yeah,
So they're
that's still
still
time.
timed.
Yeah, they don't
Like
go in there
Madden and
right
FIFA and
away.
whatever. They'll
Yeah.
come, I think, a year after or something like that, or maybe 6 months.
6
But
months.
initially
Yeah,
on
it's like
release,
between
they,
6 to
Yeah.
a year.
yeah, but initially on release, they only give you like what, 10 hours of playtime if you're a
Yeah.
Game Pass subscriber. Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
get like a little trial. So I
Yeah.
understand that. Once again, it's just once again it is a obvious omission. So I want to get to Pong on this one as well. Pong, did you? I'm sure you caught that as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's a actual announcement that you make at a Ubisoft Forward. That's an Xbox announcement through and through. I think that's one they've already put it out into public that they are doing it. I'm the opposite of Mo. I think that they're looking at all the numbers. I think that Microsoft obviously has plenty of numbers from EA Play being in there, and yes, it's
Mhm.
not a 1-for-1, right? But
Mhm.
but again, that's what they get paid big money to do, is to project
Sure.
out, right? So I believe they're still going through the numbers. On Xbox's side, it could be a combination of things. I'm not worried unless it doesn't get announced at all this year, but I think even into December we could get this announcement. I think that some of it is the ABK deal. I think that Xbox right now is trying to get through some of the most of the phases as possible without doing anything big. I think that's why we haven't seen any more announcements whatsoever. They've been real low key in a lot of areas because I think they're playing very soft right now. They're not trying to make a lot of noise right now with how much they are under the microscope. But I also think, and I do believe this, that Microsoft and Ubisoft are negotiating, and I think that they're trying to find a way to squeeze Ubisoft Plus. Now we already know for PlayStation that they created a whole new. They're creating new tiers, right? That they have a vault just like EA Play does with their older games.
Mhm.
I really think Microsoft is trying to get this squeezed into Xbox Ultimate, and I think it may, if not absorbing the cost and coming to a deal, and it would be a complex deal. Whether they give them more money on the back end, percentage wise, whether they say, "Hey, any microtransactions that go through our store, they're yours. We're not going to take a cut."
Sure.
Plus money up front, whatever the case may be, it's very complex. But I think they're trying to do that. And if it's not going to be for free, at the most minimal cost possible, if they can get it into Xbox Ultimate and say that Xbox Ultimate members can pay $5 extra for Ubisoft Plus, I think
Worth
that
it.
would be a huge
Yes.
boost.
Worth it.
Yeah,
Easily worth
easily
Yeah.
worth it. And
You
so I
t- you
think,
t-
yeah,
You're talking all that for $20 a month.
right,
Fuck yeah, that's
right,
worth it.
exactly. And I think that's why it would be an easy sale for most people at that point, right? Ridiculous, especially now that they got these roadmaps laid out. And that could be part of this too. Ubisoft is laying out roadmaps. We still got Skull and Bones releasing this year. They just
Yeah.
laid out the Assassin's Creed roadmap. So there's a lot of content that people are going to be seeing fresh in their minds when they make this announcement. So I'm hoping, obviously, there's a lot of hope here because obviously that would be great value for me. But at the same time, I do think it's a possibility that they pull this off. And I think that there's some way they get it in with a minimal cost to us as the gamers to make it happen. And I think it would be beneficial to Ubisoft from the outside looking in. Their service isn't, yes, it's better than EA Plays for sure, but it's not like it's dominating any place. It's not like it's doing huge numbers anywhere. So I think that just getting it in front of more eyes, that's why they announced it early. That's why they said, hey, it's coming. I think there's just some high level negotiations going on in the background. That's just my personal take.
Yeah.
No,
Sure.
nothing, whatever.
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
that might be where it's going.
That might be the case. That definitely might be the case. Go ahead, Fuzz. Throw this over to you before we wrap this thing up.
I think there is a lot of high level negotiations in the background, but I think also some of their uncertainty as far as their future. And I wouldn't say that they're in major peril or anything along those lines, but you got Tencent that's putting in like 49% investment, and you also have a lot of things where the ABK deal, yes, I'm pretty sure Microsoft is going to want to keep things low key, but I think the whole Tencent deal and Ubisoft not necessarily knowing exactly how things are going to pan out with having this extra amount of cash, they might not be as quick to move to push to have the subscription service and see if they can garner with this roadmap, garner enough subscribers on the PC, mobile, and Luna side in the meantime. I mean, yeah, sure, it would probably be more beneficial to them as far as from the console standpoint, but it just feels like sometimes Yves Guillaume or whatever, I guess the CEO, seems like he's either stubborn or hard-headed sometimes, and just wants to kind of wait things out to see if he gets the end result that he's looking for. I guess with the bottom line of being, all right, the console guys, they'll continue to buy the games, full price or wait till a sale. Let's see if Luna can get these extra subscribers, or with having this big push for mobile, let's see if we get some mobile subscribers. So I think he's kind of playing a waiting game now that he has a little bit of extra money in his pocket from Tencent and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. So we'll see how this all shapes up. It's very interesting. Like I said, it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up on that note, chat. You guys have been amazing. So I always want to make sure I give you guys props first, because you guys are the reason why we come here every Saturday and do this. So shout out to everybody that came through in the chat today. You guys showed love. Hit the like button on your way out. And if you're new and you did enjoy the show, enjoy the content, we got 268 more of these in the archive. So please go ahead and watch them, subscribe as well. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart as well. You guys showing up every single week. But we want to make sure we give our guest of honor, the first be able to talk here. So Mo, once again, appreciate you, bro, for hanging out with us. You guys do us a favor, go follow him, go follow TBC. There, hopefully at some point, if things even out, they'll get back, because we all need that great content. Shout out to K-Man, everybody over there. But let everybody know where they can find you, Mo. And thank you once again for hanging out with us, bro. Appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you guys for having me on. It was fun. It was a great conversation. Pong, I'm sorry about the van parked outside your house.
Yeah, man. We gotta do something.
I'm sorry, brother, for interrupting your guest.
You gotta put a camera out there next time, man. Just to keep or buy some type of descrambler or something, bro. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm humbled, honestly. It was awesome. I'm glad to be behind the mic again. You can follow me. I have my handle, my Twitter handle, and my name at Dr_Mo. You'll catch me every day just retweeting a bunch of stuff from the industry. I'm all about the games, baby. So yeah, man, definitely appreciate it, and hope to be on here again, shooting shit with you guys. Always
appreciate you, bro.
Man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
And once again, your family here. So it's probably not going to be the last time you guys see Mo here at the Shop Podcast, but we thank you for your time, man.
Thank you
much. You guys do me a favor, do us a favor here at the shop. Run over there, follow him if you want to keep up everything he has going on. Once again, TBC, follow them as well too. All of the information is down in the description, the link tree, all of that stuff is down there. And once again, Mo, shout out to you. Appreciate you. Tell your wife I said thank you for letting us borrow you for a couple hours as well. That's always awesome, man. Appreciate it. A big shout out to her. She really should be the one I'm saying.
Yeah, she's the MVP, bro. Yeah, she tolerates this man-child, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So my two brothers, my two right-hand man, Mr. Pong. So I know you had some technical issues. We're gonna work on that, man. I don't know what's going on. I think Jim was watching the show today.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was watching the show. So we're gonna get that figured out behind the scenes. You have to do some investigating. But brother, thank you for being here, even with the technical issues, man. You always bring the energy, man. But everybody know where they can find you. But let everybody know if they don't know where they can find you, G. So.
Correct. And I'm going to cut this short just in case my internet decides to act up once more. So we're going to try to get through this. I appreciate everybody. Mo, absolutely fantastic to have you on, brother. It has been too long since I've heard your voice and been in chat with you or anything like that. So it was just an honor to have you on tonight. Get your thoughts. Love your thoughts on different topics. So thank you for being here and joining us. You brought a lot to the table tonight and appreciate that for sure. Brothers, PTK, Buzzy, it's all love, all respect, all the time. My favorite place to be is right here on Saturday nights with you two, getting to talk the week's news. So thank you again, brothers, for all that you do here and elsewhere, obviously, as well. Chat, you all were absolutely amazing. Other Zinc, I already told you, you had 2 months cached of hot takes, man. You didn't have to add any more tonight.
Uh-oh. Cutting out. Damn. We just trying to get through the outro, man. Trying to get to the outro. They can't even listen. Come on, Jim. Cut him some slack, Jim.
Oh shit, this is great.
Oh my goodness. Oh, he cut out again. Lord have mercy. Well, Pong loves everybody. He said thank you guys.
Can you hear me?
There you
Yes,
go.
yes.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So here we go. No Xbox Factor this week, but you still got to go check out Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Great panel. Be there every Tuesday. Thursday, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. And I might actually have 3 shows that day. Mav and I might go live at 4 a.m. for TGS. So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, PM in the PM Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to have another show in the afternoon. Hasn't been announced yet. Be on the lookout for that. Xbox Ultimate Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. You know what it is. Also on Fun Speculations channel. And then Saturday mornings, Living Split Screen. My brother from another, Steel Rain, and I go 3+ hours, normally 4 hours. We'll take you to your afternoon. Be there 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time. We are on Mission 1K. It is the golden age of gaming, people. Get out there, play what you love what you play. And I'll talk to you all real soon. I'm about to drop kick my internet server. Let's go.
Shout out to you, Pong. Appreciate it. That was impressive, by the way. That was rapid fire, Pong, right
Iron
there.
lung, baby.
Oh,
Iron
man,
lung.
for sure, man. got to get it out quick with the issues. But shout out to you, Pong, for just once again, being a trucker and pushing through all of the issues, man. So we're gonna figure out what's going on with Jim. We're gonna have to send him a strongly worded email or something like that. Figure this situation.
We're gonna have to reach out to Phil. Send
yeah.
him another DM or something.
That's it. Phil, Call of Duty is exclusive forever. Never offer them another thing.
Nice. And last but not least, Mr. Barry Ross, smoothing things out, wrapping up the show for us. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Glad to have you on, brother. Let everybody know where they can find you.
It was just awesome being on here with you guys and everything, and so good to hear your thoughts on everything gaming related, Dr. Mo, man. It was awesome having you here tonight.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us live, and for those that catch us later, awesome. Thank you so much for checking us out. For anybody that just wants to hear my endless rambling on gaming, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. Also catch me on FSP at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel with Mav, 3-Bit, Psychonauts, and Lore Master Jasper. Once again, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. On Friday mornings, Breakfast with Boom on Double Barrel Gaming's channel, or Mr. Boomstick XL's channel on Double Barrel Gaming. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then that Friday evening on Fun Speculation, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Xbox Ultimate with the crew. Always a good time. Definitely check us out. Fun Speculations channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then once again, right back here Saturday night with the family on the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait to see you guys then.
Oh, you boys are committed.
Man, look, my guys, I love them, man. I love the commitment, man.
Impressive, bro. Impressive,
man. Shout out to you, Fuzz. Appreciate you, man, being here every single week consistently, man. You and Pong, you guys make me look good, make this show go as well as it does every single week, man. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam. I'm on one show, just this one. So until further notice, but man, you guys know where to find me, man. PTK Blam across the board, Xbox, Twitter, wherever. Hit me up once again. Poll of the week on Mondays. I'll make sure we get that in next week. We just have so much to talk about this week. But shout out to everybody in chat. Appreciate you guys, man. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Love you guys so much. Same time, same place next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later.